2, 1. Hello and welcome back to the world's greatest podcast, or searching for the world's greatest podcast. I'm your host, Amado Farala, and I'm with my two guests, Lily Roman.
Hi. I didn't know I should speak.
And Bronwyn Glickman.
Hey.
So what I've heard, or what I've been to, was not your podcast, but your capstones. They're very awe-inspiring. So do you want to tell the audience what it was about?
Oh, okay, I'll start. So I'm Lily, and we had a joint capstone. So Bronwyn is the whole fashion designer, and she came up with the idea of having the Celestial Gala, which was basically to not only showcase her dresses and the 28 original that she had sewn together and created, but also to really talk about diversity in fashion and media, because in our society we see it lacking often, whether it's in the beauty community where foundation shades are very rarely made for to go as dark for people of color, and just the representation of models and how we are demonstrating people of color in those circles.
Basically Lily summed it up pretty well, but that was basically the mission, was to give real girls and real women a chance to see what it's like to participate in a fashion show, and also, promote that the consumer should look like the person who's modeling. The two should connect rather than just having this unrealistic standard that no one can really meet.
And it wasn't just race too, it was size, sexual orientation, ethnicity, all different types of things. And age. We were making sure that we were as inclusive as possible to make sure that no matter who you were, you could look at it and see yourself in someone.
That's wonderful. I was at your gala and I thought, whoa, that was really cool. How I saw all the students and even you guys' parents being there. I thought that was really cool.
Thank you.
So what was your process on picking up this capstone? Where did you come up with the idea of I want to do this?
Well, I guess 2 years ago I was kind of wow, it would be really cool to have a fashion show, because I was just learning how to sew, and I was whoa, that could be cool. So I just asked Lily, I was Lily, will you do photography and videography and help me organize the event? And Lily was sure. So then since then we just kind of built on that, and that was the initial thought.
How did it go with brass cam and stuff? When you were pitching your idea, what was their initial response to your capstones?
I think that brass cam, there was pitch night, and then there was before pitch night, and I think a lot of our stuff actually ended up happening before pitch night, which involved us meeting Mr. Aragao and him introducing us to Frances Littlewood, and she was we had a meeting with her to kind of discuss what we were thinking, what venues we were looking for, catering, and that all happened before pitch night. So we were able to actually figure all those details out before we went into, and then rearrange a budget around it. And once we figured out the budget, then we printed out our sheets, and we walked in there pretty confident in because we had a lot of our stuff already prepared beforehand, and they were very receptive to it. They were very happy to see, to take charge of a project and to have confidence in our own dream first, and I think that's really important too, is to make sure you have confidence in your own dream before you present it to anyone else.
No, I'm just kind of a little speechless, but with the whole dress kind of thing and your capstone in general, but where'd you come up with the name Celestial Gala?
Basically, I really wanted for my first collection to be themed kind of outer space. All the dresses were in a certain color palette, all blues and blacks and greens. And I thought, celestial, that kind of means greatness, So I wanted to be greatness, but also space. You know what I'm saying? That was the aesthetic I was going for. So that's why.
Was there any part of space you took inspiration from?
A whole bunch of parts. On the dress my mom wore, I hand painted with acrylic paint these mountains that I saw on certain planets and stuff like that. So I just took from specific images I saw online through research, and I just kind of tried to like do it on a piece of fabric. Yeah.
If you did it now, you could have done like a black hole dress.
Oh yeah, the new black hole. Well, the new black hole, but the next collection.
Maybe.
That kind of segues me to like my next point. Like, so do you guys see yourselves like doing this like later on, like in life? Like, you want to focus on like this? Or,
I think it's funny that you asked that. We're actually going into majoring in what we did for our capstone. Oh. So Bronwyn will be going for fashion, and I will be going for marketing and management. So really excited.
You guys could like a whole duo.
Oops, sorry.
Scroll down a bit. So like, not apparently, but like with every like capstones, like there's usually like ups and downs or like parts that like you had complications with. But like, what do you think was like the hardest part in like during the capstone?
Because it's probably different for us.
I think there was, even between the two of us, there was still a lot that we each wanted to accomplish and that we needed to accomplish together. I think one of the hardest parts, it wasn't even the vision, because I think that Bronwyn and I, for the most part, were on the same page about what we wanted to get out of it. But it was also communicating about when we were going to get out of it. Get out of it? No, not get out. About communicating about what was happening and making sure we were on the same page and what was happening when we were going to do things, what was going to happen. So all of those things ended up becoming something that we need to make sure we dealt with, and I think we dealt with pretty well. Definitely think areas we could have improved, but that was probably the hardest part, is making sure we were very clear with each other, and making sure, I think we had a good time supporting each other though. I think we both felt supported. We just need to make sure we were on the same page.
I definitely saw that like during the gala when I was watching it. You guys were like kind of like, your communication throughout like the whole thing was very like a well-oiled machine, if you will. Like, Lily would be like, I'm doing this, and like Bronwyn would be like, okay, I got you.
Thank you.
How did you feel?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's what I was gonna ask.
Well, obviously, on my end, I was more working with the models, and there were 25 of them, and it was a lot of work because sewing a dress is already very time-consuming, but sewing a dress to fit a certain body type and a certain height and a certain aesthetic or whatever,
and you had so many different
hard.
Type of people
and
too.
It's so many, like people wanted like, oh, I don't feel comfortable with this being this short, can you lengthen it, which is great because I wanted that diversity, you know. Like, I don't, the girls who wanted to be more modest, I had to work with that and design something for them, and the girls who wanted to show more, I had to work with that. So it was a lot of people, but you know, it's all, you know, we got through it. It was very hectic.
What was like the process of like designing your dresses and like kind of, just design the dresses? Like, did you sketch it out first, or did you just like eyeball it?
I basically started with the mood board, because that's what a lot of fashion people recommend doing, like gathering all these images that you like and creating a vision for what you want it to look like. And I started last summer, so I like just bought some fabric that I felt really spoke to me as being part of that kind of vision, and then I just started, you know, sketching and thinking about it, and eventually I just kind of got into the groove, and I just kept going with that.
What about you, Lily?
I feel like Bronwyn's mood board, because that was the original concept that she really came up with, so that kind of let me design around that, which was really good to make sure, again, the same like on page, on focus type of thing. And that's when it kind of gave birth to the first promotional, which was Alex, which is still my favorite one. Alex in the all dark background, but she's lit up in this like red and purple hue. The original color was actually green and blue because of it, but then we ended up switching it a little bit. I ended up liking the latter. So a lot of it was just focusing on what we wanted people to see and what we wanted people to feel when they saw the image. And yeah, that was about it. It was focusing. It revolves a lot around that mood board. That mood board was like the foundation of everything for like aesthetic.
So, how do you guys think like your whole like event, like all in all, like with the performers and stuff? How did you guys like implement that in like your whole gala kind of aesthetic?
Yeah, basically still wanting to encourage diversity. We had the Spanish dance group, which had a lot of beautiful, diverse ladies from Temple, and they were fantastic. Verilyn mixes her own music and decided to perform her own written music, which was incredible. I wanted to showcase her talent. And then we also had the jazz band, which is a little different from the other music, and then we also had Mia performing a poem. So I felt like all the different people with different messages was kind of the theme of like trying to support people who are very different from us and like represent other people in our school. So.
Alright, and then is there anything in the future that we should look out for from Bronwyn and Lilly Productions?
Go ahead, Lily.
I mean, I can't imagine not working with Bronwyn in the future. I feel like Bronwyn and I have been partners in a lot of things. We did debate together, we've done a lot of projects together, and then we did this together. So I can't imagine that not continuing, unless she just goes off to like, I don't know, Italy or something. Yeah. So I really look forward to that happening, and I look forward to us both growing. Not only together, but also individually, and learning to see our places and where we end up. And, I think there's a lot to look forward to. So, yeah.
I look forward to, like, if ever in the future you guys are, like, famous, I could be like, yeah, I interviewed them. Like,
you're going to be the famous one. I think Amato's going to be famous.
Thank you so much for joining, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amato.
I can see you as, like, a late-night talk show host.
Honestly.